Lent is a special time for me and has always been. Lent and Easter. As a child, I think I always thought of Easter Sunday, specifically the sunrise service, as the holiest time of the year. In our church, which was Chestnut Street Presbyterian Church in Wilmington, North Carolina, we had an Easter morning cantata at 5 o'clock in the morning. That was so early that when the service was over, the sun was just rising, and I always thought of it as magical and mysterious and beautiful that we came out of church on Easter and the sun just, you know, in its brilliance shone all over the earth, and I felt closer to God then, probably than I have at any other time in my life. So I say that to say that Lent, as far back as I can remember, and Easter have been vital parts of my life as a Christian. But in recent years, or more recent years, as an adult, I think that I finally came to understand more what this period was about. Like so many people, I had been in the habit of giving up something for the 40 days of Lent, and that something was usually food or drink, specifically chocolate, because for me, chocolate was a big, big sacrifice. And then as things progressed, I, who am a Facebook addict, decided I would take a Facebook fast during Lent. But that and the giving up of chocolate perhaps just didn't seem right, particularly since I knew that once the 40 days were over, I was going to go back to eating chocolate or go back to signing on to Facebook multiple times a day. And I decided that more was expected, that I needed to do more, that it made no sense to give up something that I knew that I was going to take up again. And so I decided then that my Lenten disciplines should be something more than, first of all, something more than giving up, that I should take on some things. And the major one of those things that I want to take on was understanding. So I tried to increase my daily devotional study. I took on a special Lenten study each year, and I also joined a group of women who, for the last, I think, 6 or 7 years, we have been getting together for a group study of Lent. And I think that in those devotional studies, I came to understand Lent, not just Lent, Jesus Christ in a whole new way. And came to understand that what it was we are expected in this period, this springtime period when things are being born anew, is that we are to be born anew, again, in Jesus Christ. That is what Jesus wants, for us to die. To die. The people that we have been should be no more. And we come alive in the same way that Jesus is resurrected. We come alive as new people with new mandates on this earth about what it is to do, about faith, about adoration, but also about service. And that took me again back to the things I used to do. I volunteered at the soup kitchen, and during Lent I used to, I'd go more days. I used to go 1 day a week, and I'd go more days. But again, with that additional study, prayer, reflection, I came, even though, yes, volunteering at the soup kitchen is a good thing, a great thing. I was guilty of, that, what do people call it? Works righteousness, that you can serve your way into heaven. And, I now know that not to be true. This is not to be dismissive of volunteering, but I think that I have had a greater understanding, also because I have read things that that don't specifically address Lent, but I think that that are meaningful. Among those is James Cone's book, The Church and the Lynching Tree, which my daughter and I read together last year at Lent. And it's by no means, as far as I'm concerned, a perfect book. He spends a lot of time on Niebuhr and what Niebuhr doesn't do. And that's where I fault some of, and I think the book is incomplete in many ways, but I'm making it sound so awful. It's a great book, but it's just not the perfect book. But that book helped me connect and reconnect in new ways about the place of African Americans in this particular culture. And that has served me well in this political season, where in the United States, things just seem to be torn asunder in so many ways. And I don't want to dwell on that in any way, for a long time, but just to say that even that has echoes for me about Jesus' death. Because when Jesus died, the whole earth exploded. The whole earth exploded. And I sort of feel like that's where we are now in the United States, that everything was torn asunder, but also everything was made new. And so I see some hope, even in all the controversy and the fighting, the name calling, the backstabbing, all of this awfulness that is going on. Jesus lives there. Jesus is there in the mix. And his prayer, the Lord's Prayer I'm talking about now, that calls on us not only to praise the Lord and adore the Lord, but to serve others, to let all our selfishness give way to concern about the world, and calls on us to be obedient. And they, again, take me back to the deaths. One of the deaths that I experienced, I even was at the bedside of a friend's husband who was dying. And how I got there is almost a mystery to me now. I'm not the kind of person who normally can hold up under the pressures of death and dying. But even in that experience, in that one in particular, I think I learned a whole lot about what Jesus means, a whole lot about what death means. Something that I took as, something I really didn't want to do. But God turned that into something good, something that was it wasn't intended, but something that I saw as distasteful, that I didn't want to be a part of. God had turned it into good. I died in that moment in order to live again, to see that this is a good thing. This man that I cared about, my friend's husband, has gone on to glory. And you can't be sad about that. Nor could I be sad just sitting there listening to some of his friends who had come to say goodbye. And so that brought me to yet another instance of death. I went to a friend's death, and the eulogy was the promise of pain. And I just thought, in the past few months, God has been speaking to me again and again and again in ways that I would not even have recognized before. But the eulogist, as I was about to say, the eulogist gave the subject was the promise of pain. And my friend who died had suffered for years with a myriad of health issues. But, as the pastor said, or I'm certainly paraphrasing, but what I took from it was that all of us have to go through that pain, that death, to get to the other side. And that's the message of Lent. That's the message of Easter. sinful natures, our evil ways have to die, and we have to become disciples of Jesus Christ if we call ourselves Christians. And again, I'm reminded that, you know, the works are not it. Yes, we are expected to serve God. We are expected to be disciples, but more, we are expected to open into a new reality and a new understanding about Jesus. And for me, I see that in the scriptures, there are many scriptures, a lot, especially ones in Matthew that I come back to at this time of year, but I especially like this one from Colossians, and if you will, I'll read it. It's Colossians 3, verses 12 through 14. As God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience. Bear with one another, and if anyone has a complaint against another, forgive each other, just as the Lord has forgiven you. And those are the words that I use to console myself and then to try to comfort others. And again, I come back to death and what it means. On Thursday, our church will say goodbye to a 14-year-old who died this past weekend. And it's almost unfathomable when the child leaves this earth before the mother. But I hope that I can offer some of these words and words from Matthew and from the Lord's Prayer itself to help comfort the grieving mother and the other siblings in that family. And if I'm able to do those sorts of things, then maybe I will have pushed through the pain, or we'll be able to help her push through the pain into the knowledge of what Christ is, what Easter is, what Lent is.